You have never chosen morality. You didn't choose to think lying is wrong. You didn't choose to feel guilt when you hurt someone. You didn't decide at some point in your life to sit down and work out what is good and what isn't. It was given to you, it was poured into you. Before you were old enough to question it, it was already inside you. And the thing that makes this so strange is you defend it like you built it yourself. Think about how it actually happened. You were born into a family with a set of beliefs about right and wrong, about what a good person does, about what is shameful and what is praiseworthy. You didn't choose that family. You absorbed what they believe the way the sponge absorbs the water. Because you were small and they were everything. Then school, they taught you certain values as if they were facts. Respect authority, follow the rules, be a good citizen, work hard, get a stable life. No one asked whether those things were truly good. They were presented as obviously good, the way the alphabet was presented as obviously real. Then religion, for many of you, which handed you an entire moral architecture. Sin, virtue, heaven, hell, duty, devotion, and told you that this architecture was not human at all, and it was divine, eternal, not up for a debate. Then culture, the movies you watched, the stories you were told, the news you consumed, all of it quietly shaping what you found disgusting, what you admired, what felt normal, and what felt monstrous. And then, at some point, you became an adult and you called all of this your values. But where did you, the you that exists beneath all of that inheritance, where did you actually come in? Here's a question worth sitting with. If you had been born in a different country, to a different family, raised inside a different religion and a different culture, what would you believe is good? This isn't a rhetorical trick, it's a genuinely unsettling fact. The question isn't whether you believe in morality, the question is what produced the specific version of it that you believe, the source. Because every culture thinks its morality is self-evident. Every culture thinks that the other culture has it wrong. And yet no one ever asks, what if the confidence itself is the symptom? What if feeling certain that something is right is not evidence that it is right, but only evidence that you were conditioned? Friedrich Nietzsche was one of the few thinkers willing to ask this question with complete honesty and truthfulness and follow it wherever it led. On the Genealogy of Morals, published in 1887, he argued something that still disturbs people today, that morality did not descend from God or reason or nature. It came from power, from history, from the conflict between those who dominated and those who were dominated. He called the morality of the strong master morality. The nobles, the warriors, the aristocrats, they didn't look at themselves through anyone else's eye. They called themselves good because they were powerful, healthy, and life-affirming. Bad was simply whatever was weak. It wasn't a condemnation. Rather, it was a description. But something changed. The weak, those who had no power to act, developed a different kind of morality. Not from strength, but from resentment. Nietzsche called this resentment. And he argued that this resentment became creative. It inverted the values. It said, the powerful are not good, they are evil. We who suffer, who are humble, we are the truly good. The slave morality was not born from the honest encounter with truth, but from inability to act, transformed into a philosophy. And Friedrich Nietzsche's deepest provocation was this. Most of what we call morality today is that inheritance, not the result of careful reasoning, the result of a historical power struggle, dressed in the language of eternal truth. He wrote in Beyond Good and Evil, there are no moral phenomena at all, but only a moral interpretation of a phenomena. He is not saying nothing matters. He is saying that when you call something evil, you are not discovering a fact about the world. Rather, you are just performing an interpretation, one shaped by the forces most of the people do not examine. Jiddu Krishnamurti came to something similar but from a completely different direction, not through philosophy but through the direct observation of the human mind. He spent his life asking one question: why do human beings, despite centuries of religion and moral teaching, remain violent, fearful, and confused? His answer was conditioning. Not bad people, not weak people, but conditioned people. He wrote in The First and the Last Freedom, without freedom from conditioning, humanity will always remain a prisoner and life will remain a battlefield. What he meant was not that all beliefs are useless. He meant that when you inherit a belief, when it comes to you through fear, through obedience, through the desire to belong, it does not liberate you, it only makes you manageable. He noticed that morality, as it is usually lived, is not genuine response to reality. It is a reflex, a kind of a performance, something done out of fear of punishment, fear of judgment, fear of being excluded. And he asked, can goodness that comes from fear actually be goodness at all? Look at how morality operates today. Social media has turned morality into a performance sport. People don't just believe things, they display their beliefs constantly for an audience. Outrage is no longer private, it's public. The more you perform moral conviction, the more validation you receive. Cancel culture is interesting to watch, not because it's always wrong, sometimes it isn't, but because of the certainty, the total lack of doubt in the people doing the cancelling, the absolute conviction that they are on the right side, that the target deserves what they are getting, that history will vindicate them. That same certainty has appeared in every moral panic, and it was strong most of the time. Identity has become moral. To belong to a group, political, national, ideological, religious, is to inherit that group's moral framework automatically. You don't decide what the enemies of your group deserve. Krishnamurti called this the danger of organized thought. When belonging requires belief and belief is enforced by exclusion, then you are not thinking, you are conforming. Conformity has always dressed in the language of virtue. I want you to do something uncomfortable. Pick one moral conviction you hold strongly. I'm not asking you to pick something abstract. Just pick something that is personal, something you feel in your body when it's violated. Now ask, where did it come from? Not, it came from inside me. That's not the answer. It's a deflection. Ask specifically, who taught you this? When did you first feel it? Was there a moment you chose it? Or did it arrive already installed? And ask the hardest question of all. Would you hold this conviction if you had been born somewhere else? To someone else? To a different country? If the answer is no, what does that mean for how certain you should be now? That is not nihilism. Nihilism says nothing matters. That is its own comfortable escape hatch, a way of not having to think. Nietzsche didn't say stop caring about good and evil. He said find out where your caring comes from. Because until you do, you're not thinking. And Krishnamurti said something that I'll leave you with. He asked whether the mind that has been conditioned from birth can ever see the world as it actually is. Can it perceive something true? Or does it see only the reflection of everything it was taught? You don't have to answer that now, but notice what happens inside you when you sit with it.